Hello. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be chatting about budget-friendly alcohol markers. Are they worth it? What are the pros and cons? How are there so many of them on the market? Why do they all look the same? Is there really a difference between the low end and high end? Do I recommend the low end? Etc., etc. The impetus for this video is simple. I was contacted via Instagram by a brand called, a company brand, whatever you'd like to call it. They are Chalky Crown. I don't know what that means. They do sell chalk markers, so I'm assuming it has something to do with that. They are a craft supply retailer who operates through Amazon. They reached out to me and offered to send me a set of their alcohol markers in exchange for my doing an illustration and posting it on Instagram. Easy enough. Free product for me to test. I can either rip them to shreds and tell you what I think, or I can enjoy it and likewise tell you what I think. I am no stranger to scathing reviews. I've been known to denounce art supply subscription companies for inflating their prices and their gross marketing tactics, and I also actively discourage everyone from giving into social media marketing bombardment tactics. You know the type, all of the glowing Arteza art supply reviews that sprang up like a fungus out of nowhere a while back, and similarly all of the Hime gouache brouhaha that sprang up on YouTube a while back as well. Again, somehow just about everyone who reviewed these things gave them a glowing review, which to me is of course suspicious. Newsflash, I am not going to compromise my integrity for free junk. That's probably why I'm still a starving artist living in a one-bedroom apartment in the middle of the California desert while everybody else is living it up. But I digress. All right, so the topic of today's video is alcohol markers. If you are new to my channel, well, first of all, hi, hello, welcome. I am an illustrator and my primary mediums are watercolor and ink. And under that ink umbrella, alcohol markers are included. I use markers heavily in my coloring books. I use both alcohol and water-based markers. Side note, when I say my coloring books, I mean my own books. I also illustrate coloring books. So now you know a little bit more about me and how frequently I use the things, because I do. I love markers. I have been using all grades of both alcohol and water-based markers in my illustrations for years, from Crayola crayons, or rather from Crayola markers all the way up to Copic. I've used it all. I still use it all. I am not an art supply snob. I love to try low-end supplies, and I thoroughly enjoy high-end supplies as well. Both grades of supply has its use. I appreciate it, so I'm not going to be biased in either direction. Today we are going to talk about the plethora of affordable budget alcohol markers that have been popping up on Amazon in recent years. Aside from Prismacolors and a handful of Copics, I personally own a set of the lower end markers myself. I own the Cali Arts. But the most popular brand these days seems to be Ohuhu. Ohuhu, and there's another one that came up recently called Oleep, I think. But Ohuhu and Cali Art were the two top contenders for a long time. New brands are popping up constantly, and it seems as though even more budget-friendly brands have been popping up once again like a fungus in recent months. So what's going on here? What's the catch? Why is this happening? When I was contacted by Chalky Crown, I was not provided with much information about the brand. That's why at the very beginning, when I mentioned them, I sounded a bit wishy-washy. And that's not because I didn't know anything about the brand because of my own fault. It's because I was not provided with any information. The correspondence was not especially professional when they reached out to me, and the liaison that I was emailing with frankly didn't provide me with any information about the brand. All they really said was, hey, we have a small family-owned company on Amazon. Do you want to try these markers? Fine, easy. I'm not asking for an essay, but I wasn't even provided with a boilerplate response. Nothing. I was simply requested to create an illustration in exchange for a set of markers. So I said, okay, that's fine. But having said all of that, it's not up to me then to deep dive in, ask the tough questions about a brand, and do research. If you don't tell me anything else about your brand, I'm going to work with what I'm provided with and will make assumptions according to what little information I can dig up doing a quick Amazon search on this brand. I am not a brand ambassador. Again, I am not getting paid. So keep that in mind. This is simply going to be me trying out some supplies and giving you my thoughts on said supplies. Okay? Not a deep dive. So this video is for anyone who is curious about trying their hand at low-end alcohol markers, whether you are trying to get your feet wet into this medium or perhaps you are simply searching for a decently performing disposable set for travel or for sketching and you have no idea where to start, where to look, because as soon as you type that into the Amazon search bar, you are met with a plethora of options and it's just overwhelming. So that's hopefully what this video is going to help you to do. Maybe it'll help you make a decision. I don't know. If you hear growling and shaking and general sounds of mauling and mangling, it is of course my gremlin attacking his toys, so disregard if you hear that on video. Okay, so we all know how pricey Prismacolors and especially their fancy sister Copics can be. So for the purposes of sketching and for coloring books, I personally appreciate having a low-end set of markers hanging around just for the purposes that I mentioned, for sketching, for quick color ideas, color palette decisions, things like that. Just really quick, rough, I just need a couple of colors and I need to test these things really quickly. I grab the cheap stuff, okay? For years, as I mentioned, I have been using the Chalky Arts for this purpose and they've worked out well. I've had a few little complaints here and there, but they're the same complaints that I have with every other lower end brand. It's nothing that's going to be a deal breaker. It's just general little, I don't like this about lower end markers because this, and this. But to remedy that situation, well, buy higher end ones. It's that easy. So let's talk price because that's really what most of us are concerned about. Alcohol markers vary widely in price, and in this case, as is the case with most art supplies, you absolutely get what you pay for. Just to give you an idea, here's a quick breakdown of what we're looking at in terms of price brackets. So a set of 24 Prismacolor markers is going to run you around $60, which breaks down to $2.50 per pen. A set of similar generic Blick Studio markers is going to run you $42, which is a breakdown to $1.75 per pen. Now a set of 12, not 24, 12 Copics is going to take you out $70, which is $5.83 per marker. Ouch, I know. Now bringing it down to the low end of the scale, a set of the 100 Chalky Arts is going to run you right around $40. The price tends to fluctuate a little bit, but we're going to stick with $40 because that's around the price that I paid when I purchased them a couple of years ago. So $40, which is going to break down to 40 cents per pen. Now break it all the way down to the low rung, and this is where the Chalky crowns come in. So a set of 80 of these Chalky crowns is going to run you $27, which breaks down to 35 cents per pen. 35 cents. That's huge. That's a huge savings from $5.83 to 35 cents. And yes, there is a difference in quality. So why the price difference? Well, pigment quality, brand history, quality control, branding, and component design are all major factors into what goes into pricing of a product. My Prismacolor and Copic markers are beautifully designed. They last for years and years and years in storage without drying out from being unused. They are very juicy and the color is consistent. Now they don't last forever, of course, but they do have great longevity, and again, they store very well. I have zero complaints about either brand when it comes to quality. For the price I'm paying for these markers, I expect quality, and they always perform as expected. Now, this is the part of the video where the Karens of the world are going to get their panties in a twist when I say that purchasing low-end markers means that you must keep your expectations in check. I will not expect a 35-cent marker to look and perform the way a $5.83 marker will. That's just not reasonable. It's ridiculous to have such expectations. All right, Karens? So chill. So, if you have done any shopping on Amazon for budget markers, you may notice that many of the brands, including but not limited to the Ohuhus, the Cali Arts, the Chalky Crowns, etc., they all tend to have the exact same color variety, or at least very similar. They have the same, if not the exact carrying case. The stock imagery that they use to market the markers all seem to be suspiciously similar, if not identical. The only element that changes across the different brands is going to be the branding. It's going to be the same bag, the same markers, but a different logo. So what's up with that? My conclusion is private labeling. What is private labeling? Well, if you are unfamiliar with private labeling, it is a process by which a brand can essentially purchase pre-made wholesale products with the intention of adding their specific branding to the product. Essentially, they dig through a catalog, select a few pre-made items, send in their logo, and voila, months later they receive a shipment with their products all branded, which they can then sell at retail in their shops. Now, before you guys asphyxiate yourselves by clutching your pearls too tightly at the horror of this private labeling, reel it back, reel it back. Private labeling isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can be, of course, used for nefarious reasons, but not always. So let me explain. If you are in the USA, you may be familiar with Costco and Trader Joe's. Both of these retailers private label a good number of their house branded goods, and the quality is just fine. We all like a good Kirkland signature. We all love a Trader Joe's branded item, right? Now, there's hits or misses, of course, but for the most part, the quality is there and it's all good. Now, some cosmetics companies also do this. The private labeling becomes a problem when it becomes a big, nasty, messy, sticky, gross hairball of greed and deceit. Some brands will purchase goods in bulk, pretend that they are unique, exclusive products. They will mark up the prices to exorbitant amounts and hope that the gullible consumers fall for the propaganda. More often than not, unfortunately, most people do fall for the pretty graphics and the hashtags and the this, and that, and it works, unfortunately. This isn't much of an issue with the art supplies, but it does happen occasionally. Generally speaking, though, when it comes to these lower end supplies, low end goods, all generally, now this is generally speaking, for the most part, all of these brands on Amazon tend to stick within a similar price range, give or take a couple of bucks. So it's not a big deal in this market sector. There doesn't appear to be much price gouging here from what I can tell, but again, this isn't a deep divey video. The reason that budget online craft supply brands can keep their prices low is because they are not putting the millions of dollars into product development, market research, etc. They simply open up a catalog, pick a marker, slap their name on it, and call it a day. And that's what most of these marker companies are doing. And I suspect Chalky Crown is doing exactly the same thing. Is it a bad thing? No. Is it a good thing? It's neutral. It's just a thing that happens, right? Now, are they doing this? I don't know. I'm coming to this conclusion based on the evidence because, again, I wasn't provided with any further information about this company. Private labeling may sound lazy, and in a way it is, but here again is why it's not a bad thing in the case, especially of alcohol markers. Alcohol markers from low end to high end all essentially perform the same. Now, yes, of course, pigment load and materials in the components and in the nibs notwithstanding, because there are differences in every price bracket. At the end of the day, though, they are all simply pigment dispensed through an alcohol vehicle in a pen form. That's all they are. A basic primary red marker from the Chalky Crown line will look similar in a coloring book It will look essentially the same as a $5.83 Copic in a coloring book, right? Your differences are going to be seen and felt when you start using marker papers, when you move into working on fine art illustrations, etc. Little things such as the materials of the nib, the juiciness of the marker, all of that is going to culminate into whether or not the marker creates a pleasant and professional user experience. As with paints, the higher the cost of the paint, the higher the quality it is. Same with markers. You can't expect a 35-cent marker to last you 10, 15, 20 years, whereas a Prismacolor, you can use it for 10 hours, store it away for 30 years, and open it, and chances are it's still going to be juicy. So let's talk about these chalky crowns, shall we? At 35 cents per marker, I was expecting neither a miracle nor a replacement for my high-end markers, but I did want to give them a fair shot. So I created the illustration that you see in this video on smooth surface marker paper, the same marker that I use for all of my marker work. The chalky crowns performed the way I expected to, exactly the same as the Cali Arts, not necessarily as juicy as the Prismacolors or Copics, but well enough. No skips, no dry markers, nothing. The colors were fine, and I will definitely continue to use them as my little crafty backup sketchy set in the future. Are they standouts? Absolutely not. Are they the best low-end marker on planet Earth? No. They are on par with everything else in their price range, because just about everything in the price range is probably going to be the same private label product, or at least something else that is similar to it that has also been mass produced, bulk, private label. It's just the way it is. There were a few cosmetic issues with these markers, namely when opening the caps to some of them, there was some smudged dry ink around the tip, some residue. This can easily be cleaned with cotton and rubbing alcohol. It's not a big deal to me. I'm not bothered by cosmetic boo-boos. The logos weren't printed very neatly on most of the markers, but again, I don't really care about that sort of thing. One issue that is a bit of a nuisance, but it's not unique to the chalky crowns, it's kind of an issue with all of the lower end markers, is the color chip. The color chips on the tips of the markers had a tendency to be wildly inaccurate, but again, this is par for the course with low-end markers. I have a similar problem with the Cali Arts. This is what swatch sheets are for. Neither of these issues are big enough to deter me from low-end markers. I am perfectly capable of grabbing a napkin and cleaning some gook off a marker and making a swatch sheet. Not a big deal. Performance is what matters to me, not so much the cosmetics. So, when presented with a choice, why then would you choose Chalky Crown over, say, the Cali Arts or another brand? Well, considering that all of these brands are private labels, it is going to come down to something as inconsequential as the B word, branding. Chalky Crown, hands down, has the better branding. If you take a look at their Amazon store, you will see that they took the time to at least put some thought into developing a brand concept. At the end of the day, did this company simply select a private label marker and slap their logo on it? Yes, I think so. I am 99% positive that's what they did. But they are clearly trying to develop a curated shop of craft supplies for the budget-minded crafter under the Chalky Crown name, and I commend that. Most of their competitors simply slap a generic stock logo on the product and call it a day. I did in fact hop into some of the competitors' stores on Amazon, and I noticed that they sell everything from socks to office supplies to pet goods. There's just no rhyme or reason to what they're doing. They simply want to make a quick buck by private labeling everything under the sun, hoping that something sticks. Chalky Crown has put a bit more effort into their branding and is trying to curate a craft-specific shop. At least that's what it appears to be at this point, so that's what I'm going to run with. And here comes the Karen. But Karla, branding doesn't mean a thing if the quality is crap. Listen, Karen, if you are presented with two identical products with identical price tags in two different packaging designs, I guarantee you that you will 100% go for the package that appeals to you the most, right? Exactly. So be gone. Competitive Karen. Bye. In conclusion, what are my thoughts on low-end markers? Well, after having said all of that, after having lectured you for 3 hours, I have two things to say, two takeaways. One, most of them on the low end are private label. So if you are shopping and you notice that the markers are within the same price range, they are probably the same quality, if not the exact marker. Number two, they work well for sketches and crafty work, but I would never replace my high-end markers with them. Do I recommend them? Sure. Again, I wouldn't recommend that you drop what you are doing, toss your Copics in the trash, and replace them with these. Not at all. You'd be a lunatic to do so. But if you are searching for a budget-friendly marker to mess around with, maybe you don't want your kid, your overzealous artistic guinea pig, or whatever, jumping into your stash of expensive markers and you want to purchase something for them to play with, these are a good bet. You can't really go wrong for $27 for 80 markers. If I'm going on a trip, on a road trip, and I want to grab 5 markers and I don't want to take my precious $5 million Copics, cool, I'll grab 5 of these, toss them in my purse, and not worry about it. Plus, these Chalky crowns have a cute little skull as their logo. They may be private labeled, but they have a cute little skull on them. None of the other private labels have a skull as their logo. And if you've been here for a while, you know that I appreciate a cute skull around here. So there you go. All right, my nasties, that is going to do it for today. I hope that you enjoyed watching the creation of this spooky little lady. And if you are curious about alcohol markers, I hope that you learned a little something today. Hopefully this video shed a little bit of light on private labeling, and if you catch yourself constantly buying markers wondering why the hell you get them in the mail and they all look and perform the same, well, now you know. There's a good chance if they're a lower end marker, you probably own 60 of the same set and you didn't even know it. So links to the art supplies I used for this piece will be down below. If I can't find the link, then at least the name will be there so you know what I used. Everything else that you need to know will also be down below. Please hop on over to Instagram and follow me there. I post there regularly. This little lady is for sale in the Etsy shop. If you have any questions, leave them down below. Once again, I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one.